Hi. So I wanted to come on and do a background of why I've chosen to do this 21-day quantum body reset and what the components are going to be in the program. So it really is it's a subtle, right, quantum, so small influences that create a profound impact in the body. And I say simple because our culture is really we like things that are complicated. We like high tech and new and on the edge, like cutting edge technology of health and science and facts. And this is really a step almost back into wisdoms that have been around for thousands of years. Traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda have been around for thousands of years as healing modalities in a way of bringing people back into balance and supporting people in how they need to be supported, right? Their specific imbalances, right? These patterns of observing, right? They use different ways of observing people and using these tools to counter or to move with. But many of the tools are very similar, right? And that they really are striving to bring people back into a more neutral place in their health. So I first, well, I would say I had an injury. I had shattered my elbow when I was 17, pretty severe shatter. It was the end of my upper arm bone was shattered into 8 small pieces and it was pinned back together. I'd crushed the nerve and they told me that I would never use my arm again because the nerve was non-responsive for a very long time, over a year. Um, and that was my kind of introduction to the medical way of healing. And then later, and so I didn't use my arm for a very long time. I had very basic, like it took a long time to heal. Part of that was my diet at that time and how I was in my body at 17. And years later, I was working in New York City and I had a lot of pain in my body. And I was kind of pushed off to a yoga studio that was really close to where I worked. And it was there that I met a woman, a teacher who was, I mean, she would say things to me just like, well, bones change shape depending on how you load them. Nerves regenerate. You will heal. And this was years after the fact. And she helped me to regain a lot of mobility in my arm, a lot of strength, incorporate my arm into the rest of the body. So it wasn't just hanging out, not doing very much. And creating more strength and confidence in my body overall. I was also introduced into the yoga lifestyle of eating very simply. And they have their, right, yoga is Ayurveda, the philosophy for the healing modality. And it really helped bring my body back into a balance in a way that I had not experienced since I was young, pretty young. And so and this was a very welcome, right? My digestion was horrible during my 20s. I had reoccurring sinus infections, bronchial infections, kind of figuring out that I was allergic to foods, had a couple of chemical exposures when I was young and as in my early 20s in my job in New York as a craftsperson in theater, had chemical poisoning, and that had impacted my nervous system and my health. So there were these tools to help me remedy that or heal from that, shift that. And I've had a few other because my body's very asymmetrical, the arm that was broken is a very different shape and length than the other arm. So even though I was doing yoga and I was getting quite skilled at strong movements, I was very asymmetrical, and that impacted my neck. I also became a body worker. And so in my herniated disc injury, I then had to reevaluate how I moved, which changed how I did yoga. So I stepped kind of away from the model that I had been in, a more fluid and strong practice, and shifted towards a different way of moving that worked for my body. And these were all, again, just observing through myself and through the assistance of other teachers, observing what my body needed. And different than what we get in the medical model, where we have these specialists that we see for a very short period of time, they don't really get to observe our body. And they give us diagnoses, treatments that are often not preventative, but after something has been kind of out of balance long enough that it needs either medication or surgery or even physical therapy. I've also had an autoimmune that I reversed. I've had a few that have been shifted quite a bit with, again, these practices. And so this is why I want to share this with you. One, because I think that there isn't a lot of preventative care that actually empowers us to observe our own bodies, right? That we learn to take yoga and we do as the teacher says in the class. We maybe go to somebody who helps us with cleanses, but we're told what to do. And there's something really powerful about learning how to observe what's happening in your body. Right? Something that classic homeopathy, where you take one element and you add it to the system, a very subtle, almost energetic aspect of an element, and you see how the body responds before you add anything else. And that gift of slowing down, of turning in to observe and noticing our response. And what I find powerful in that is that it gives us a lot more information and capacity to hold and care for ourselves. Not just our physical body, but our emotional body, our mental body, noticing how our environment impacts us, our food, our relationships, our maybe greater community or greater work environment, how it affects us. So the tools, and I just want to go through, it's a little bit of why I want to present this, because I think that the movement practice that I do, it's more subtle, and which is really interesting, because after the 21 days, I feel much stronger, even though the work isn't necessarily strengthening work. I think that it works more energetically. And because we are electromagnetic beings, we are energetic beings, and there's more alignment or communication, there's better circulation, the organs have a little less influence from heavier foods and more movement to move things through us digestively, assimilation, elimination, all of that just starts to work better. More circulation, there's just more nourishment moving through the body, deeper breath, right? Bringing in more of that kind of nourishment, oxygen, right? And the exhale, which is also the elimination. Okay, so the main practice is movement. It's 21 days, daily movement, shorter movement practices, about 30 minutes. Again, they're really designed to build awareness, build movement, build awareness of subtle movement, and really refining movement in the small places, right? We often think of movement as like walking, running, getting the heart beating, but there's the quality of moving the tissues, which is why body work is so great, right? Getting the circulation in the tissues in the places that we don't often get movement, right? Tighter tissues. There's not a lot of movement. There's not a lot of blood moving in, or old cells, old blood cells, old white blood cells sloughing off, because there isn't a lot of circulation, right? So dense areas don't have as much nourishment as supple areas in the body. So within the 21 days, the daily movement, we will have weekly meditation practices. I'll also kind of upload some other old meditation practices, because again, that sense of practicing the turning in, practicing the awareness, practicing knowing or seeing, right? The beauty of meditation is that we get to really see the body shift, either from overstimulation to a little more able to adapt to our own environment, or less busyness in the mind and more capacity to think clearly, think creatively, right? Think beyond, right? Analyzing, collecting data, right? Just a different way to really utilize our mind energy. Meditation can also bring us more into our heart, or I would say like an interesting relationship between heart and mind, right? And the heart being just a different way of viewing the world, more relationally, and moving beyond our body and beyond our very simplified responses to the world. I would say even conditioned responses to the world. And we will also do, I had it here so I could see it easily. Weekly calls, just so if you have questions. I'm also available email at any point, Facebook at any point, because I really want to know, right, if something bothers you, if something creates pain, if something creates tightness, I want to know, because we often move the way we have always moved. We move habitually, or we move the way we think we should move, or you may move the way I'm moving, and that's not right for your body, right? This is the part of really deep listening to what's happening in your body, is adapting the movement to your specific needs. And if you can figure out how to do that, you can reach out to me. I am fully willing to troubleshoot that with you, and I would love to troubleshoot that with you. That is my joy. We will do a cleanse, a 9-day cleanse. Again, this is really just to give your body a break, because our health is really also organ health, right? Sometimes our body tightness and tension is really connected to what's happening in our organs, or what isn't happening, or what isn't able to happen in our organs. And that can be impacted by medications. It could be impacted by slow digestion, or limited mobility in some areas, or a lot of tightness in the organ areas, right? Belly, back, even in the heart and lungs, shallower breaths, right? That all impacts our cellular health and our digestion, our hormone balance, our water balance. And the food, I have a few different variations. I know cleanses can be really challenging, and we want to make this doable. Some people are really, really comfortable taking things out of their diet. and allowing the body to cleanse. Cleanse is still eating. You're still eating meals, just very consciously eating foods that feel really good. And other people are not. There can be a lot of fear around letting go of foods or not understanding what's happening in their body when they do let go of foods. So again, we want to be able to troubleshoot that. I don't want you to feel like you have to do it alone. And then just little information trainings like sleep training, just so you, again, doesn't have to be perfect, right? I know we have these ideals of this much sleep, go to bed at this time, get up at this time, but it's really like what's doable for you. You go to bed just a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit earlier. Can you notice how much screen time you have before bed? Can you notice how much screen time you have in general? Right, part of this cleanse is being mindful about what we're ingesting. And sometimes that's food, and sometimes that's screens or other relationships that may feel like a burden to our system or may need us to be in a different place, right? That they take energy more than we may have at the moment. Similar to nervous system training, right? So nervous system and emotions and pain and tightness, right? They're all related. It's all connected to the nervous system. Old tightnesses or habitual patterning or right neuromuscular patterning, all connected to the nervous system, right? It can be neural pathways, it could be old avenues of responding to the world or old kind of memories, right? Our body holds the blueprint of our life. It really holds everything. It is our hard drive in a way. Body energy mapping, which I love because it just helps us look at where we have, if we have habitual patterns of tightness, what the underlying meaning may, I don't even meaning is a tricky word, right? Because we don't want to play with like, well, this, my knee hurts, so it means this. Again, because it's really observing. I'm looking not at the camera, I'm looking at my something else. So I'll look back at the camera. So it's like if my knee hurts, right? There was some body mapping, like if your knee hurts, it's connected to this heart chakra or right, there's a prescription, but it really is an observation of when I'm in habitual movement or this pattern shows up in my knee when I'm around at a certain time of year or when I'm around a certain person, right? These observable things or inquiries. And then we'll also do a future you meditation. And that is brilliant because it's how does the part of us that wants this forward movement, that knows we have the capacity to heal and grow and move beyond who we are, right? I think that we in this culture, we're kind of often in this framework of as we age, it's only going to get worse, right? That especially at a certain age, after a certain age, there's this downward slide. And that has not been my experience nor my understanding, right? That not only are we cellularly regenerating every day, that our capacity to heal even are the things that we think are more static and unhealable, right? I think for a long time they thought the brain wasn't able to heal. It is able to heal. Every cell in our body is able to heal and does, right? Cellular regeneration happens every day. So how do we support that? How do we support that? So the future you is this, our forward desire to move forward, calling us forward. right? So that we can feel into where we want to go and know that it is true and have it call to us. So even if we're in doubt, even if we are not sure or don't trust, right? Maybe we have been in a place where we don't trust our body. Maybe we have been let down by the medical system. Maybe we have tried many things and they haven't worked before. Right. And as I have gotten older, what has changed for me in my healing journey is not necessarily trying new tools. It's being present with my body and observing what happens, right? Because sometimes I can try something, I can I don't have an example right in this moment, but if I think about, oh, something else has come up, like last year, 2 years ago, after my dad died, I had a rash all over my body, and it was very intense, itchy, and painful. And I didn't trust that I could do a cleanse and it would shift. I felt like, oh, this is huge. I don't even know what this is. And I had 5 doctors tell me 5 different things. And I tried a couple of the things that they had given me, and it made it worse, didn't do anything, made me more tired. And so I went back to what I knew. And I had this, right, this moment of, I think it was exhaustion and grief that kept me from being able to really touch back into myself. And what does that mean? Like, I'm able to really track what's happening in my body, track, oh, is this food, or is this lack of food, or taking this out, right? Adding a little bit of chocolate, is that helping me? Oh, it feels really amazing, but then I'm tired and my brain feels weighted down or anxious. So, okay, I'm noticing that. So what if I try this other thing? Oh, okay, that actually feels really good. Like, my body loves steamed potatoes. They seem to be quite grounding for me. Like, I feel my brain, my blood sugar, my digestion just kind of go, oh, that feels good. So observing those things, right? And building. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten better at, oh, this is what's happening in my body. This feels good. This is grounding. This is supporting me. And in that, I've been able to make better choices, or different choices, or choices that are moving me towards what I really, really, really cherish. Right? Because life is so precious. And we just don't know how long we're going to be here. And I really have things that I want to do. And I really like to feel clear, and I like to feel good. So this is an invitation for you. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to do everything every day. This is not, it's not like school. You're not going to get graded. You don't have to complete everything or you're not good. This is really an invitation to offer you a different way of experiencing your body, a different way of being with your body. And one that helps you not only now in this moment, but as you get older, as even in this moment in time, the world may get more intense. I am anticipating that. And I'm feeling like, how do I get more grounded and more clear in my body and my mind so I can meet this moment as gracefully as possible? Right? Because the change that we are moving towards is very rich and quite beautiful. And it may not seem so in the moment, but there is quite a bit of potency that I have never felt before. And I hope that you feel that too, even amidst the uncertainty. All right, I hope this serves you well. I would love to have you join if you have any questions.